All right. Hi there. Thanks for hanging out. Getting myself settled. I'm on the road. So, genius mastery. Oh, the question I always open up with is what did you master this week? What do you celebrate as your genius? What did I master this week? It's a good question. I'll say directions that we were going, what we were headed for, resolved. Certain ways they turned out, and it wasn't in the direction in which we thought, which I anticipated, and yet likely better, quicker, faster, shortcuts. So that means I continue to bump into the expectations, my expectations, continue to bump into my expectations, meaning how I expect it to go, how I want it to look, and the skill of accepting how it comes, how it appears, how it goes, just in the tension between the two. Being okay with how it goes, which direction it runs into.
Hi, Jay. Sorry, I got stuck in the quagmire of Google Docs.
Oh, no worries. Hi there.
How are you?
I'm good. Friday afternoon.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you. I am. Troy's coming home from the Olympic Training Center from a completion of his first training, and so I'm going to get Audrey.
Oh, nice. Nice. Are you driving?
Yeah, so I'm driving,
Okay.
and she's done at 12:30, and then I'll have her, and then I'm going to go pick up her friend. So we'll probably call it a early at 12:30, but we can pick up a little bit later if that would work for you.
It would work for me. That would be great. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah, if you're up for that, I am for sure.
sounds good.
Okay, so what's on your mind?
Well, I was just working inside of expectations, and how they go, the way they go, when they go, how things open up, and then how things, in a way, could close. Like as we discover more things, as we learn and engage, and
Yes.
see things differently, how they close and open up possibilities, and resolve some things, and tighten up others.
Yes. That's so funny because I was thinking about expectations a little while before the call as well. And then also this morning. And in a way, expectations has got to do for me with our orientation. And if we can be engaged but dispassionate, then we can have direction and power and clarity, which is maybe more fluid than when we're unaware of our expectations. Because having expectations is often part of what gets us a direction,
Mhm.
can be the container for a direction, could be,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Isn't always necessarily the best one, but it can facilitate a spark of it.
Mhm. Yeah. And it helps keep it like in the focus. And I think it's when we attach to the expectation.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly it.
So attaching to the expectation in because we do work for it to go certain ways, and then as we
Yes.
move towards it, it's, oh, I have to look at it differently. I have to reset. I have to readjust, and it's allow it to appear different or readjust the expectation towards it.
Yes. So we can think of it like this, I think. So when you say that we work towards something, so if we had to do it from or through our electromagnetic field, which has got enormous power. And also for me, when I'm in that space, the expectation is just a reflection of a desire. So it's a reflection of what is in the field. And if I can play with that and not be attached to its outcome, then I can pivot more quickly.
Yeah, it's so it's still in the direction of the outcome, the overall outcome. It's just as we've conditioned to see it, create it, produce it. And as you said, the electromagnetic version of it to bring it into the existence, into the creation, into the manifestation.
Yes, and if you're alongside that expectation, let's say, you're not grasping at it, and so you have a wider vision around it. And you might not be focusing on that wider vision, but it's there. You're allowing for a wider vision around it. And that's why you can pivot more easily when it doesn't go the way that you were wishing for it to go.
I think that becomes a lesson as well, or an opportunity to learn about the be, to
Yes,
allow it to be,
yes,
just to be with it, where we can get all knotted up, or all wrapped up, all entangled in, attached to how we thought it needed to go.
yeah. It's a real
Bring-
dance, eh?
Yeah, it brings up I don't know if it was in the recording you shared with me, but it was in one of them that followed it, maybe. And it was one. It wasn't that one that you shared. It was somehow I clicked on one that was after it.
Yeah.
He spoke about how, and you'll appreciate this, that in Indian, like a Native American, Aboriginal, early language, there's not a term for
Owning.
owning. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
it's like how it's owning, how it's ours, and it's
Yeah.
like expectations falls into that.
Yeah.
My creation.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting how structure can go or can come from just our language.
Mm.
It's very interesting.
How else does it come?
Mm-hmm. I know, it's true, Jess.
Right?
Exactly.
Which then, is so it is, of course, in all existence of the words, how we use that. And, between now and where we're going, the present moment and now, is the structure, and then our words bring it into existence, into a focus, into a meaning.
Mm.
It's fascinating.
It is. I think what I've been realizing lately as well is your concept of space, and the difference, the contrast between expansion and contraction. And how useful that is if you have only that in mind. And you look for opportunities of where you can expand a contraction. When it's needed. Sometimes the contraction is like a zooming in, and that very detailed focus is exactly where either you or the other person needs to be. So there's no need to do anything but to be there with that focus.
Yeah. In awareness of the space, you can ask, where does it need to go?
Yeah. Yeah. And also awareness of when you or the other person that you're with, or that if the two of you are working together, then to point out how it was possible to move from the contraction to the expansion.
Yeah.
And the value of each.
I like the value. I think I see it as the value in either one of them is that it opens the space for the other one. And when there's space, then all of a sudden there's a choice.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Versus no choice.
I was so happy to be reminded about the languaging around the roles that we play. Like I hadn't remembered that languaging in that specific way for quite some time. And it was a welcome neutralization of anything that we do, right?
Yeah. The roles, right? I was reminded of the structure that we place inside of them, that we place around it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that we place internally inside of ourselves. Which goes along with the expectations. Brings us back to that.
Yeah, where we're around all of it is just where we put our weight, what we lean on, where we
Yeah.
automatically go,
Yeah.
how
Which is,
we frame it.
yes. And that's all linked up with focus, right, Jess?
Yeah, I think it is. Focus that we may or may not be aware of. It is it's the driver. It's the it's the pole. It's the electromagnetic path that's already laid.
Yeah, so there's a difference between focus and choice, and you can only make a choice when you're aware of what your focus is. Then you can re-choose your focus.
Mm-hmm.
I had a conversation this morning with someone who's been suicidal for a long time now again. I had her as a client when I was in my early 30s and she was in her early 20s. I think she's about 10 years younger than me. And she's been having a series, they described it as a series of heart attacks. She found herself on the floor. And when she came to, she had this experience which in the tone of her voice sounded like she was really close to an awakening experience. And then she realized that she hadn't died. And so we I just let her talk about stuff, everything. And then I took her back to that experience. And I asked her to recall it. And I said, what do you feel in your body? And she was dead quiet. It was on the phone, it wasn't on Zoom. And I sat in the silence with her for a bit. And then I said to her, "There's more space there, wasn't there?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "That's it. That's all you need. And you got it." And then she spoke a little bit more, not going into this space, but not veering far from it either. And I had to split the call up in two. So at the end of that call, I said, "Have you still got energy to talk again?" And she said yes, because I had to take another call. So I phoned her back about an hour later and heard the tone of her voice was quite different. And so there was a more casual kind of a conversation, about things. And then she said something about being aware of something in herself. She didn't say what it was. And I said to her, "Helen, that's what you go for." And she was quiet again and she said, "You mean the awareness?" I said, "Yes, that is your key." And so by the end of that call, which was about another 40 minutes or so, we agreed that she would commit now to weekly conversations with me. And her homework was to note how many times in a day she could become aware of what she was thinking. And she was quite happy with that. So I felt like at least, for today, she had a little bit of a relief. And there were also in the second conversation, what was interesting was the first conversation was full of all the sadness. And it's about the environment. She's an activist. And in the second conversation, there were more things about relaying the small successes, in her terms, are very small successes that there had been. So that was interesting for me, because when we've spoken previously over this last year, about 4 or 5 times, she hasn't included much about what they've achieved. And she's brushed it off. And this time when I've asked her to tell me more, then she tells me more. And then we get more and more and more. But it was very, very, very nice to be able to listen at that level. And part of it also is because I've, it's also, again, it's an established relationship. Like she knows that I know that she doesn't really want to live all that much longer. And she knows that I don't have any problem with her choice, but I have feedback for her in terms of what I see in her, and why I think being part of the bridge, which I think she is part of very much so, is so important. So it will be interesting to see. I'm hoping, of course.
The expectations. Huh?
Yeah. So, and it's so interesting for me just because I know I can't, if I have any expectation, I'm taking away from what needs to be available for her.
Mm-hmm. And yet we can create something from it that's works for us. It was like, as you shared with me, what I celebrate is a little bit of space to see the good that's there. I mean, what else would someone want?
I don't think much more than that, because she knows about my health, for over all these years. And she mentioned at one point, she said, she can't believe that she's talking to me of all people who, fight so hard. And I said, but we've got different jobs to do here. It's of no relevance at all.
All relevance to it, just different relevance,
Yeah, exactly. And she asked, in terms of what you're saying, what else would one want? And she said to me, do you feel different now? And I said to Helen, 10 years ago, my body was much healthier than what it is now. My experience of myself and of life was nowhere near as wide, filled with humility and wonder and awe as what it is now. And I know that she was quiet, but I know it impacted on her. And all that I can hope for is that she can identify with something around that there's space. There could be space for that experience for her, right? The kids coming out of school.
Yeah, and I'm behind people that aren't parked very well, and I wouldn't park the way that they're parked, but it's my first time here, so better yet, they won't let anyone else around them. This one car won't let anyone else around them.
Do you want to go? Do you want to get out and go and fetch them, please?
No, it's.
Will they find you? Okay.
There, she's right there. She found me.
Good.
So she's coming that way, but.
So they've been at camp.
What's that?
Are they at a camp? A day camp?
Summer school for her, yeah.
Okay.
It's
What's
kind of
she
a,
doing
it
in
might be a
some-
camp. She's got, what is she doing is, robotics, wood shop and robotics, wood shop and cooking. So,
Oh, good for her. Those are such fun
Yeah.
things.
yeah. So, yeah, so she's enjoying them. She's liking them. At first she's like, oh, I hate robotics. And so she had that at first, and she still might hate it. She wanted to cook more than what they were cooking. So, who knows, right? So we're going to go pick up her friend, and she's going to spend the afternoon with her. So when I get home, I'll give you, let's shoot for probably a little after 1 o'clock my time. So
That's
30
after
minutes
4.
from now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that work for you?
Yes, it
Okay.
does. Okay. See you then. Enjoy
Bye,
this.
Allison.
Bye-bye.